About 1 year ago, Euroscatola, the leading company in its field in Italy and Europe, decided to join the program for the environmental impact assessment promoted by the Ministry of the Environment. The aim of this program is to test on a large scale the different measuring methods of environmental performances considering the different business sectors, harmonize them, and make them replicable. In other words, to identify the procedures of carbon management and to support low emissions technologies and the best practices in the production process regarding the whole life cycle of products and services. So, Euroscatola decided to bring together a team of experts, being able to meet the challenge at best. These subjects are very different from one another, but complementary. And together, they will build a team which will be able to reach the targets set by the program of the Ministry of the Environment. Matteo, which was the spirit you approached this project with? We approached this project with the spirit of doing something new, something that didn't exist in the field of corrugated cardboard. And about 2 years ago, together with you, with RTS and Intersero, we decided, with the help of the Ministry of Environment, to start this idea of giving an energy efficiency class to each and every packaging we produce. This project was laborious, took a long time, and was also a complex one, because behind a simple cardboard box there are lots and lots of information and data to combine. Particularly difficult is to quantify CO2 emissions in the atmosphere for every single package produced. This is the spirit we put in our choice. Now, can you tell us something more about the most important investments you made in the last years on monitoring as well as environmental impact reduction? Reducing CO2 emissions in the atmosphere and so energy consumption is also strictly connected to an economy of scale. For example, to substitute incandescent lighting with LED lighting is an investment that will be repaid over time, because you consume less energy and this lowers CO2 emissions. Then you do this in all areas of a company, for example, transportation, in order to have more and more modern vehicles and not 15-year-old ones which consume lots and lots of fuel. You do this with lighting by using auto-off water taps, switching off after 20 seconds instead of running water for 1 minute. They are all small improvements that have been leading to an economy of scale and therefore to a reduction of CO2 emissions. You told us before that you have built up a team of partners that has contributed to this project. Would you give us an idea of their specific know-how and of the criteria you choose in order to select them? First of all, it was necessary to hire the services of RTS, our software house, asking it to develop an ad hoc software which could grab all information about CO2 emissions to put them in our system. Our goal is in fact that of giving our customer an exact number for every package we produce for him. Then Intersero, the company of Roberto Magnaghi, the one who made it possible to gather all these numbers, match them, and pass them to our software house to put them in the system. Then again, Baum Communication, which helped us to promote and use this product. And finally, Maurizio Riva, who liked our idea and has therefore become our first customer, we can sell our energy efficiency class packaging too.
una classe energetica e quanta CO2 l'atmosfera è stata emessa per fare quell'imballo.
Ecco, credo che anche Rete Clima stia per svolgere un ruolo.
Rete Clima will also play an important role in all this.
Stiamo facendo un'operazione di compensazione.
They are helping us to buy carbon credits all over the world
In giro per il mondo per poter
in order to lower our global CO2 emissions in 2015 and next year with the project going on. Intercero Service Italia has been the first partner involved in developing this project. Mr. Magnaghi, I would like to know which was your role, the knowledge you made available.
Noi abbiamo accompagnato
Our partnership with Euroscatola started 1 year and a half ago, trying to make the company more environment friendly.
un percorso che è partito dall'avviarsi
The first step was obviously that of joining the ministry project.
l'azienda, in questo caso Euroscatola,
After winning the contract and implementing all actions contained in the public notice, the first thing was measuring the emissions
naturalmente a seguire, oltre ad averlo vinto,
and to give carbon footprint an exact value number.
prima cosa era necessario misurare quanto erano
Of course, the company didn't stop there. We carried out an engagement for reduction and compensation,
negli step successivi, oltre alla misurazione, ci sono stati gli impegni per la riduzione.
then we helped Euroscatola step by step and finally arrived to obtain a certificate by the ministry about activities made in order to make a further development possible
Una certificazione da parte del Ministero e quindi un avallo da parte del Ministero rispetto all'iniziativa.
and bring Euroscatola environmentally aware and its products more and more eco-friendly.
Sviluppo e renderla sempre più vicina alle tematiche ambientali e rendere i prodotti di Euroscatola sempre più attenti all'ambiente.
So this is only the beginning of a process that will develop in the future.
Direi sicuramente può avere un percorso futuro.
Sure it will, because the market demands it, consumers call for it,
Il consumatore che ce lo chiede
and practically it's the system all companies operate in, both in Italy and abroad. Environment is no longer an external factor,
è un fattore
but an internal factor, an element which is part of any production cycle of the company
interno a
and part of the customer-vendor relationship, particularly in packaging trading.
e in particolare naturalmente degli imballaggi e dei prodotti imballati.
Now let's deal with technology. Robertino Piazza of RTS Information Systems is here to explain in detail which are the software elements that enable the development of this project. Since 30 years and more, RTS has been dealing with the development of innovative ERP solutions applied to packaging. To design our solution, we use a method called Smart Company, which allows to increase efficiency in our work. We do this in two different ways. We optimize the sharing of information between the company departments, and we use technology to access information more rapidly. By doing this, we implemented a project called Easy Green for the group Euroscatola. This system allows to evaluate the rate of environmental sustainability and gives the company a competitive advantage to increase its business. Very interesting. Specifically, which are the elements that made this process successful? Well, success was mainly due to a partnership with international subjects specialized in environmental impact reduction. Easy Green is an instrument of business intelligence that quantifies the so-called carbon footprint, in other words, the environmental impact of the whole production cycle of the company. This value number, in fact, is expressed in tons of equivalent CO2 generated by a single ton of product. Easy Green is predictive and proactive and easily allows to analyze the equivalent CO2 trend for production type, for customer and shipping area. It also allows to simulate environmental impact scenarios according to the production mix and to report anomalous shifts to the performance value. Easy Green has already gained important acknowledgments since it has been one of the first in Italy to be certified and financed by the Ministry of the Environment. Gastone Partisani, President of RTS Information Systems, would you also give your comment about the project? Since 30 years and more, RTS has been dealing with IT innovation, so we took this project as a very important chance for us, and we have been glad to take part to it, together with Intersero and Euroscatola, a company that has been helping us all these years in doing innovation. We've been glad to invest in this project, because we can create value for the companies we've been working with for several years. Well, now that we've dealt with technology, let's go back to environmental issues and ask Paolo Viganò of Rete Clima which are the contribution his company gave to the project. Rete Clima is a non-profit organization that helps companies in sustainability projects with particular attention to climate changes. So it is about fighting climate changes thanks to concrete actions in the production phase. We met Euroscatola at the end of their activity of evaluation of carbon footprint. We normally support companies in carbon assessment and carbon management during the whole cycle in order to quantify emissions, reduction and compensation, and were quite surprised to find a very active and careful company which already completed the first phase of reducing CO2 in the production cycle, which is the first thing we ask to companies we work with. So it wasn't necessary for us to concentrate on that first step because it had already been done. We were pleased to find out that our company already did its sums and understood that protecting the environment is economically sustainable. This has actually limited our intervention just to the final phase of carbon offset. Therefore, we only had to do a compensation of the emission. We did this by collecting certified credits related to international projects, so that the maximum traceability, practical relevance, and seriousness could be granted. It was just the last phase of a sustainability process, carbon assessment and carbon management, that the company made. Well, in order to get an overall picture, I would now give the floor to Mr. Di Bernardo of GIFCO. Would you please tell us the vision your association has about sustainability and respect for the environment? First of all, in my opinion, the branch of corrugated cardboard has an advantage. It is based on a renewable raw material, paper. Paper has many production cycles, so it is potentially an infinite resource. But this advantage received more value from the corrugated cardboard industries, thanks to innovation, which led to technological products with high performance and less usage of raw material. In practical terms, in the first 2000s, the weight of 1 square meter of cardboard was about 605 grams. In 2014, it's 562 grams. Slightly more than 40 grams may seem nothing. But if we think that every year more than 3.5 billion packaging are produced and multiply this 40 grams, we get the following result. Every year, more than 250,000 tons of material is saved. This is an important result not only for the environment, but it is also a technological and practical advantage for the consumer, because the performance of products is even better than in the past. We are also keen on recovering and collecting corrugated cardboard packages. Thanks to our recovering and recycling sector, today it is possible to recover 9 packages on 10. I would say an outstanding result. We are also engaged in supporting the eco-design of products. A monomaterial product makes life easier for consumers when they do selective waste collection, but most of all for our customers when they have to do the packaging, because they can use only one material and therefore can save money and respect the environment. Well, let's deal with another association. We have here Andrea Cornelli of the Italian Cardboard Boxes Association. Please. Sustainability is a very important issue for us. To represent cardboard industries in Italy means for us to remember that not only profit is important, but also sustainability. One of our missions is to remind our associated companies to keep in mind the essential values in these times of great changes, because the risk is to lose them. That's why if we talk about sustainability, for us it's important to start from the social sustainability of our companies, then financial and obviously ecological. We also live by good examples, so today is a special day for us, because the example of Euroscatola and the example of partnership Euroscatola carried out with us is an important example to look ahead in the most positive and sustainable way. Now let me introduce Simona Fontana, responsible for the prevention area of CONAI. How is, in general, the feel about sustainability changing from your point of view, and which are, in detail, the activities you have in mind to promote sustainability? CONAI is the National Association for Packaging, which represents packaging producers and users in Italy. And we are very pleased to be here today, together with a company which practically works for environmental sustainability. We've noticed that companies, both packaging producers and packaging users, really pay more and more attention to environmental sustainability. But when referring to sustainable packages, it's important to understand what does this really mean. What is a sustainable package? In order to help companies in a long-lasting commitment about sustainability, and in order to have more and more sustainable packages on the market, CONAI has already developed a project called Pensare Futuro, Future Thinking, just because the aim is to think of packaging in the future, providing its associated companies with tools ranging from the analysis of simplified LCA, similar to the calculation of CO2 emissions, of energy consumption, of water consumption, to support them in a virtuous activity, to other projects that give value to positive attitudes, such as, for example, promoting a public notice for companies that want to invest in research and innovation to put on the market sustainable packages. For this purpose, €200,000 have been invested to award the best practices about lower environmental impact packages put on the market. But how do you put lower environmental impact packages on the market? You do this by adopting some measures we promote, as for example, the reduction of raw material consumption, as quoted before about corrugated cardboard, logistics optimization, a very important and peculiar aspect. Use of recycled material, packaging simplification, easier to find and to recycle, and other activities in which CONAI helps companies interested in learning more about these issues. By the way, we opened a help desk called S.p.A.
CONAI è vicino alle aziende che scelgono imballaggi sempre più ecosostenibili e che puntano a utilizzare materiali riciclati, a facilitare le attività di riciclo o a ridurre l'impiego di materie prime, a ottimizzare la logistica o ancora a semplificare l'imballo o renderlo riutilizzabile. Per loro CONAI ha sviluppato un tool che misura gli interventi di prevenzione sugli imballi in termini di emissioni di CO2, utilizzo di energia e di acqua. Per orientarti verso un futuro più sostenibile, visita ecotoolconai.org o scrivi a ipec@conai.org.
Bene, abbiamo tra i nostri ospiti
Now,
anche
among our
Emanuele
guests,
Tagliabue,
we also have Emanuele Tagliabue,
di Cantù.
City Councillor for the Environment in the town of
Qual è il
Cantù.
livello di sensibilità che le
To
aziende
what
del
extent
territorio
are
abbiano
companies
su
keen on environmental respect and sustainability? Well, we don't have a certified number, since we are not directly linked with companies. Definitely in the last years, a lot of companies have invested particularly in energy efficiency, partly in solar panels, partly in other renewable energies. I'm quite sure that this is the first company making an investment on waste reduction, trying to make it the more sustainable as possible along its cycle. I am glad that in my town, Cantù, there is a company that has a priority towards this issue. I deal with it every day with citizens. I hope that in a few years, more and more companies and citizens will care about reducing wastes. I think that boxes are a kind of waste that can be easily recycled and reused many times. Since we are here in the Museum of Furniture, and since one more company based in Cantù has been involved, I hope that Cantù shall be famous not only for furniture, but also for being a sustainable town. Despite economic constraints, we are doing what we can, also thanks to Rete Clima, which is here today, in order to raise awareness. Thanks to some companies, we have planted more than 500 trees. So, in addition to raise awareness, we also have more green and oxygen. Well, now let's hear what Mr. Maurizio Riva has to say. He is the president of Riva 1920, the company some of our guests here have quoted before, and which provided this wonderful location, both professional and full of history. First of all, thank you for your hospitality. Why is your company so concerned with sustainability? This story is 95 years long, but with a very important event about 25 years ago, when we decided to give up with custom-made products and we started to produce with wood from Amish-American forestry. We have always been paying great attention to tradition, flexibility and natural finishing, that is to say, natural oils. For example, 20 years ago, we had to create a particular package to wrap up our furniture because they were oil-finished. We have been using oil-less finishing for many years. Then, thanks to Euroscatola, we can also protect other high-quality furniture we produce as for example those made with Venice briccola, the typical oak piles planted into the Venice lagoon, which are carved by a mussel called shipworm. I just want to tell you something. The first thing I do in the morning is to pick up paper waste on the ground in front of my factories, and this makes me sad. This also has to do with sustainability. Thank you very much. Here we are with Silvio Cappelletti, President of Euroscatola. We have been pleased to have met him at the end of this interesting debate to ask him which is his point of view about sustainability and, mostly, which are the plans your company has for the future. Environmental sustainability has always been a milestone in Euroscatola's business, so it's equally important for us to be the pioneers in carbon footprint evaluation. We hope the results will be appreciated by the whole business world, which cares about environment as we do. I think that for the future we've left a deep trace and a way of learning how to respect the environment. So we hope we will be more and more able to leave our children a better world than we have found.